Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another quick pick prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the welterweight bout between Kevin Lee versus Daniel Rodriguez. So I'll see this fight right here. So unless Kevin Lee 3.0 comes in there, he talked about being the future, talked about being this, talked about being that, but so far has came up short, and I'm predicting him to come up short once again, unless proven otherwise. I don't predict based off what ifs. I predict off based off what I've seen. Like we could what if all we want, and maybe throw some money here, throw some money there, hoping that Kevin Lee closes the gap. But I'm not really predicting him to close the gap in this one. I feel like Daniel Rodriguez presents an interesting challenge for him. I feel like Kevin Lee has a lot of questions that really haven't been answered by him. But on this one positive or one shining hope of light in this one, that Mike Perry was able to get 2 takedowns on Daniel Rodriguez, which is not a good sign. And he did look light in the butt, and in general he does look light in the butt. Like he got stick legs and a flat butt, like very light in the butt. And Mike Perry was able to pick him up without much issue, like clearly looked a stronger man. So takedowns look like they weren't that hard to get to. But also Mike Perry didn't really do nothing with those takedowns. Yes, he had like 2 minutes and 30 seconds of control time, but that's not even a 1-4 round. And 2 minutes is a bit of control time that may be still around. But if somebody's doing effective striking and doing effective damage, then that 2 minutes is not enough to seal the round. Maybe it was like 3-4 minutes or 5 minutes. I might like a little bit more, but and I'm also coming in here, I feel like Mike Perry is a much better striker than Kevin Lee, or at least the more dangerous, maybe not technically overall, but I definitely think he's a more technical boxer. But matter of fact, overall, I think he's the better striker than Kevin Lee, and also definitely more dangerous striker than Kevin Lee. So I'll give him that. But Kevin Lee is definitely a much better wrestler, and that's the thing. So pause for a second. This prediction kind of dragging out. Let me get to the point. I feel like Kevin Lee has his own issues. I feel like as the fight gets hard, Kevin Lee starts to exit out of the fight. And yes, he might get those takedowns, but it's not like Daniel Rodriguez doesn't have a high level belt in BJJ. I think he is a black belt in BJJ, but don't quote me on that. And that's not all of it. It's not like he got a black belt in wrestling. But I do think he has, for the most part, addressed the grappling pretty good in most of his fights and been able to work to get back to his feet. And there hasn't really been nobody that's been able to really control him as far as in recent years. So I feel like he'll be able to get back to his feet. Kevin Lee might have success early, but I think the jab and the stiffness of Kevin Lee, the jab of Rodriguez versus the stiffness of Kevin Lee, the height advantage, the reach advantage will go to Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee has 77, I think. Rodriguez has like a 74, 73. Rodriguez would be about 4 or 5 inches, 3 to 4 inches taller at 6'1" versus 5'9". And I think Kevin Lee, like I said, might have success early with his wrestling. But as we know, when Kevin Lee starts getting tested and starts getting tough, his cardio starts to fade. And also, when he has success with his grappling, a lot of times he burns his arms out, burns his legs out, trying to go for the submission or trying to go for the finish, and he gets fatigued. So I feel like there'll be cases where Kevin Lee might have success early, but that consistent jab of Rodriguez, consistent output of Rodriguez, and not really giving Kevin Lee those spaces to breathe. And even on the ground, when Kevin Lee overcommits to a takedown, getting threatened with chokes there, getting punched to the body, getting dug in, even probably some knees when he's trying level train, trying to scoop him up. In the case that Rodriguez is gonna make him fight for every single inch. And then like I said, Kevin Lee, as the fight gets hard, he starts to break down a little bit, starts to get tired a little bit, starts to wear on him, doesn't wear the best, starts to break down. I think it'll be a case where early success for Kevin Lee, but consistency, volume, the jabs will constantly be in Kevin Lee's face, not having head movement, getting stuck with that jab, getting his head pushed back. I think he's gonna start to get broken down. I think he gets stopped in the third round after, a good first round. Second round, gonna start to get fade a little bit. In third round, he's gonna get put away. So in this one, I got Daniel Rodriguez via decision.